Has the jury reached a unanimous verdict? If you please can hand the verdict form to the bailiff. Having reviewed the verdict form, it is in its proper order. At this time, I will publish the verdict. We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder.
Yes!
Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count two. We, the jury, find as follows as to count two of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder.
She can't believe it.
Count three. We, the jury, find as follows as to count three of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson. One moment. Members of the jury, the bailiff will escort you to the jury room.
Prison for life for Donna Adelson, as she is given guilty on all three counts. I don't think they even deliberated as long as they did for Charlie. He got a full 3 hours, didn't he?
No, so 4:18 to 7:40 probably. So three.
Adelson, while this was not the outcome I'm sure that you desired, there will not be any further outbursts in front of the jury. If you cannot control yourself, I am going to have to determine if you will be removed from the remainder of this process. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Do you need a moment to collect yourself? Before the jurors are brought back in, we will take a brief 2-minute break. Please give her tissues if she needs them.
Do you need a moment? Because you'll have a lifetime.
When the jurors are brought back into the room, does the defense wish to have the jurors polled before they are discharged?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well.
Well, I always love a good intro. What do you say, Drew?
This is probably one of the top, I'll say top 50 intros we've done.
We were getting ready for the show, but they beat us to the punch.
In closing, let me remind you that it is important that you follow the law spelled out in these instructions in deciding your verdict. There are no other laws that apply to this case. Even if you do not like the laws that must be applied, you must use them. For more than 2 centuries, we have lived by the Constitution and the law. No juror has the right to violate rules we all share.
It's the Donna Adelson trial. Dan Markel, the father of Benjamin and Lincoln, was murdered 11 years ago. It's all led to this. Donna Adelson is charged with first-degree murder. If convicted, she faces life in prison without parole. We'll use our law enforcement experience to comment on the case as friends, family, and the people seek justice for Dan Markel. All that and what it means for your weekend on the Comm Center. Wake up, America. It's the Comm Center with Drew Breezy. It's the Donna Adelson trial.
Your verdict is unanimous at the request of one of the parties.
Guilty on
When you
all
hear your
counts.
last name, please appropriately respond.
Prison for life.
Well, she hasn't been sentenced, but.
Oh, come on. Don't take this moment away from me. What are they going to give her? Probation? Or are they just going to give her, like, they're going to charge her with a DUI and just give her that?
That's happened before.
We're ready for this.
I changed our thumbnail, John.
Did you?
Yep, because it's, the breaking verdict live one, but it's, I think we're just too pre 8:00.
Of course. The last thing that Donna Adelson has to do to screw somebody over is be ready to go 15 minutes before we are.
Yeah.
But good job to the jury. We were ready to break down closing arguments. We were getting ready to set our alarms for early in the morning. Drew was actually going to mow his grass at 5 a.m. He normally does it at 6, but he was going to mow it extra early so that he could be done in time
Yeah.
for this moment to come tomorrow. But look at her wail and weep as the jury has failed to believe the shittiest defense in the history of mankind. They battled to unwind Donna Cappleman's story for a mere day and a half before they ran out of stuff to do.
Before you are discharged, please listen carefully. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration of this case. I also wish to advise you of some very special privileges that are enjoyed by jurors. No juror can ever be required to talk about the discussions that occurred in the jury room except by court order. For many centuries, our society has relied upon juries for consideration of difficult cases. We have recognized for hundreds of years that a jury's deliberations, discussions, and votes should remain their private affair as long as they wish it. Therefore, the law gives you a unique privilege not to speak about the jury's work. Although you are at liberty to speak with anyone about your deliberations, you are also at liberty to refuse to speak to anyone. A request to discuss either your verdict or your deliberations may come from those who are simply curious, from those who might seek to find fault with you, from the media, from attorneys, or elsewhere. It will be up to you to decide whether to preserve your privacy as a juror. With that being said, I want to extend my thanks on behalf of the entire Second Circuit for your service in this matter. You are discharged.
Look at it. So much disgust for the jury. Tallahassee jury.
Yeah, those dirty Tallahassee people.
Do you think we had this during Sarah Boone? Do you think that they just stayed long enough to have dinner? He did say earlier that dinner was being provided by the court. Do you think they had their Papa John's and called it good?
I don't know. I'm not even sure.
The jury's verdict, with the jury having found the defendant guilty of the 3 charges of the indictment, is the defense asking for a pre-sentence report on counts 2 and 3. As to count 1, the penalty is statutory, and essentially there is no modification for it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Well, pre-sentence investigation and report is ordered by the court as to counts 2 and 3. As to count 1, is there any reason why we cannot proceed to sentencing on this matter?
Sentence her now.
We would request an opportunity to ensure that our client is okay before we proceed to sentencing. It's my understanding that Charlie Adelson wasn't sentenced right away. We're asking for the same courtesy.
Very well. The court then will set a separate sentencing date.
Can I inquire whether the family members that are present would like to give a victim impact now or at the future date?
Yeah, exactly. Hey, don't be looking back at your family. That's not what this is about. This is about Dan Markel's family. I don't even know what to say, John. Like so that's Dan Markel's mom there, and she has
His mom and dad. Yeah.
she was just handed some paperwork by Georgia, so she probably gave that to Georgia to.
She's gonna speak.
That's good. Victim impact right now. That's fine. You want to put it off?
It's fine. Right there in front of the lectern.
Donna, we didn't get you on the stand, but right now you are going to have to listen to what you did.
If you
Yep.
please can identify yourself for the record.
Yes, my name is Ruth Mark. Sorry?
I'm worried you're gonna trip. Just-
I love Georgia Cappleman.
So do I.
My name is Ruth Markel.
You may
I-
give your impact statement, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge Everett. To the Honorable Judge Everett, my name is Ruth Markel. I am the mother of the late Dan Markel. I stand before you today to express the profound sadness and grief that Dan's family and I have endured since his tragic murder. We have lost a treasure. My son's Dan's life was cut tragically short at 41 years old. For 11 years, we have been forced to a life filled with unimaginable pain and heartbreak. Dan's father, Phil, and his sister, Shelley, share in this unending sorrow. Dan was a devoted father, brother, and son. Dan's life was marked by his devotion to family, education, and community. He was a loving, caring, and inspiring person. His academic journey included studying politics and philosophy at Harvard University, earning a master's degree later in political theory from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem and Emmanuel College in Cambridge, and later going back to Harvard to get a law degree. Dan was a prolific scholar and did start, co-founded the influential Prof's blog. His energy, drive, and sociability greatly enriched the FSU College of Law. Dan's life was filled with passion, music, dance, sports, travel, and people. But of all my son's accomplishments, however, I am most proud of the devoted father Danny was to his two sons, Benjamin and Lincoln. Dan was present, loving, and supportive, always putting his children's well-being first. He regularly attended the boys' daycares, reading with them. His office was filled with their drawings, and his home, his living room, filled with their toys. Dan was the boys' hero, and they have been forced to grow up without a father. Dan's murder has shattered our family and caused deep, permanent pain. This was a particularly senseless crime, and the murder was particularly insensible. It was not revenge. Dan was a law-abiding and respectful citizen, an active father, and a living son. His life was devoted to teaching and helping others. The pain and suffering of Dan's murder goes well beyond other families too. That is why I wrote the book, The Unveiling, a mother's reflection on murder, grief, and trial life. In my unrelenting grief, I turned to advocacy, to feel purpose, and to help others with these tragic losses. I have found meaning and comfort to connect with others who want to serve justice. To all the community of journalists, TV programs, podcasters, Tallahassee communities, and the allies who have put their hearts in keeping Danny's story alive, we are full of thanks. To law enforcement and prosecutors, our gratitude is beyond for their dedicated, careful perseverance in seeking justice for Danny and our family. If Tallahassee is known for football, Tallahassee should be known for the prosecution and for law enforcement. They have done an outstanding job. These extraordinary efforts underscore the brutal truth of our family's story. Danny's murder was orchestrated by his former mother-in-law, Donna Adelson, and other co-conspirators, and is a crime of cruelty. It is a murder of grief, a murder of selfishly prioritizing one's own desires over what is just or right. And at its core, this was a murder of convenience, so that one grandmother could live closer to her grandchildren.
You're right.
She killed their father and ripped the children from the other grandparents' lives. Donna Adelson's crimes against Dan began long before his murder. She belittled Dan in front of his children. She spread lies about it and contributed to a brutal separation between Dan and Wendi. She went to the house, and Dan came home, and he found that Wendi and the boys were gone with most of their belongings. He called this devastation
Shake, you
Pearl
bitch.
Harbor.
Swallow it.
Donna's eagerness for Wendi to divorce Dan and to relocate to South Florida led her to increasingly devise desperate schemes. Despite these efforts, the court ruled that Wendi could not move the boys away from their loving father. Failing to achieve her goal through legal means, Donna finally resorted to orchestrating Dan's murder. She plotted, planned, and paid for his murder.
Yes.
Donna's crimes led to further devastation. Her middle son, Charlie, was convicted and sentenced to a life in prison for his role in facilitating Danny's murder for hire. Can you imagine a mother involving a son to complete a murder? Donna's eldest son, Rob, an honest and decent man, is estranged from the family. And her younger child, Wendi, has decided once again to relocate to another state.
Yeah, I don't want to be near
Her
her.
actions and those of her co-conspirators have caused children to lose their parents.
And
Catherine McManus, Freda Garcia, and Charlie Adelson, also convicted, are all convicted for life and have lost access to their children.
Also, Donna could have
Prior to
all
her
have her
arrest-
grandkids.
To her arrest, Donna's recorded phone calls with Charlie reveal their lack of a moral compass or capacity for self-reflection. She blames external forces for her family's curse. They're outside of her, but she is the curse. And
Ooh,
lashes
yes.
out angrily at witnesses who looked and took the brave step to testify. Her modus operandi has always been to run from Tallahassee and then to try to flee to Vietnam. For our family, there is no such prospect for escape. Danny's absence, and that leaves a hole at the center of our lives, no matter where we go.
God.
Yet Dan's murder was not enough for Donna. His death was not enough. Danny had to be fully erased from his beloved sons. The boy's last name was ever changed, an extraordinary decision to excise the Markel name from Phil's only grandsons who shared his last name.
Hope they get it
And
back.
after the first arrests were made, Donna didn't allow the Markel family to have access for over 6 years. It was only when there was a phenomenal Tallahassee advocacy group that passed the Markel Act. The passage of this bill was immediately followed by our first invitation to see the boys after the rest. The door only cracked open. Despite these efforts, we remain excluded from the boys' lives. We were not at their bar mitzvahs or graduations. We have extremely highly choreographed visits and communications. We only wait for the day that Benjamin and Lincoln will visit their father and his grave, and his father's history, and his grave in Toronto. We want nothing more. The facts of Danny's murder, are difficult to swallow. The experiences Phil, Shelley, and I have been forced to suffer are profound as homicide survivors and victims of the criminal system. The lives of Danny's two sons, our grandchildren, were forever turned upside down by this crime. Benjamin and Lincoln were only preschool. Their lives will never return to normal. For those who loved Danny and for those who Danny loved, there is no escape from the wicked effects of what Donna Adelson set in motion, carried out, and paid for, and for many years enjoyed the aftermath of. Donna Adelson has caused immense devastation and an untimely, undeserved murder through her actions. While no trial or verdict can ever heal the profound wounds caused by Dan's murder, justice must be served. I respectfully ask the court to impose the maximum sentence on Donna Adelson. Her lack of cooperation and remorse throughout the case
Yeah.
demands justice, the justice that Dan's life and memory fully deserve.
Like
We
even
are
now,
immensely grateful to the court for
she's
its
not sorry,
careful
she's
and
angry.
compassionate deliberation.
Sorry for herself, maybe.
Respectively,
Yeah.
Ms. Markel.
Thank you, Ms. Markel.
Thank you, Ms.
Are
Markel.
there any other victim impact statements this evening?
How about anyone who had to hear that closing today? Defense's closing, when she was yelling at everyone.
Oh, his dad. Oof.
If you please could tell us your name for the record.
Good evening. My name is Phil Markel. I'm Danny's father. Judge Everett, I appreciate the opportunity to speak about the impact of Donna Adelson's actions on my families and the families of so many others. While this victim impact statement is addressed to you, Your Honor, it is also intended for the Adelson family, Harvey, Charlie, Wendi, and particularly Donna. I would like them to understand and reflect on the deep and irreparable damage they have caused. The pain that they have caused my family
I didn't cause any pain.
obvious and permanent. But they have also caused lifelong harm to their own immediate family and so many other families and children around. Donna's selfishness, cruelty, and complete disrespect for human life, along with
Yes.
that of her co-conspirators, have left families forever broken. Louis Rivera, his children have no father. Catherine Magbanawa and Sigfredo Garcia, their children have no parents. Charlie Adelson, his
Yes.
son, Roman, has no father. Rob Adelson and his wife and their 2 children have lost their uncle and grandparents.
Because of you, Donna.
Shelley and Ian, my daughter, their 3 children, my grandchildren, are left without an uncle and are separated from their cousins. Of course, their heinous and callous actions have left me, Ruth, and Shelley without our Danny, and Ben and Lincoln without their father. For anyone to commit such a cold-blooded, unprovoked act of murder is horrific. For Donna, someone who claims to care so much about Ben and Lincoln, her sun shines. Her actions are beyond comprehension. She has harmed forever the people she claims to have loved. In the Jewish custom, we have an expression to always wish others to live to 120 years of age. For Donna, I wish her to live to 120, alone in her jail cell. I wish that every day of her remaining days, she thinks about the harm she has caused to so many, especially those 2 boys she claims to have loved so much. For these reasons, Your Honor, I ask the court sentence Donna Adelson to the maximum possible sentence.
Yes.
And my only short question to Donna, was it worth it?
Yes.
Respectfully.
Mr. Markel?
Living to 120 is the only thing that would be
Matters the
fair.
court needs to
Did you
address
see her?
this evening, Ms.
Did you
Cappleman.
see him shoot her a look?
With the PSI being ordered, the court will pronounce the sentence as to counts 2 and 3 after it's been completed. The parties have had an opportunity to review the pre-sentence investigation report and make any objections if they believe they need to. As to the 3 counts the jury has found the defendant guilty of, I will adjudicate her guilty at this time, but the sentence will be pronounced as to the 3 counts at a later date.
We'll
She
be
is
there.
remanded for sentencing at this time. Lieutenant Henry, please notify the commander at the jail that the appropriate screening needs to take place to ensure that the defendant is in an area where she is not subject to any self-harm. for a case management date coming up, what would the parties request?
Ms. Dugan's October court date, Your Honor.
Leave that is 10/14. Is that correct, Ms. Dugan? October 14th for case management at 2:30 p.m. That will be in the normal courtroom 3B. Patricia, if you can make sure that the notice goes to DOC so they are aware that the PSI needs to be completed as soon as possible. Thank you. We're in recess at this time. We will reconvene on October 14th. Have a good evening, everyone.
Take her to jail. It's the last time she ever gets to wear civilian clothes. That's it for her.
Say what you got to say, but be quick.
No more sweaters, no more grandma clothes, just inmate clothes from now on.
Right.
Convicted murderer. Was it all worth it? She separated so many children from so many parents, all because she couldn't stand to wait until Benjamin and Lincoln grew up a little bit and decided that maybe they wanted a loving grandma in their life and a loving father. Instead of waiting 10 years, she's going to be in prison for however long she lives. And let's give it to Georgia Cappleman. She kicked ass throughout this entire trial and today. We were prepared to do a breakdown on her closing arguments, her closing statements, the highs and lows, and how bad the defense retort was to that. We've got all kinds of clips and stuff that maybe we'll get to, but just a model prosecutor for every DA and state's attorney across the country for how to do your job with integrity, conviction, vigor. When she was cross-examining Bailey yesterday, she had more integrity and more humanity than any other lawyer in that courtroom, I thought, other than maybe her co-counsel. She was absolutely amazing to watch and behold, and she's just a personal hero of mine to see all the great work that she did on this case, fighting for the Markels and fighting for justice. And it's just amazing to see. And I'm glad for the Markel family. It almost feels like the Super Bowl, though, Drew, right? When your team finally wins, they always ask this question right away that kind of takes away from some of the celebration.
Yeah.
Can you do it next year? What do we think about Wendi? Is this the end of the road? Is this as much peace and satisfaction as the Markel family will ever get, or is there still justice out there to seek? A lot of our viewers think that now that Donna has been convicted on all counts, that waiting in the wings are charges and indictments for Wendi. What do you think? What do you think's coming, Drew? I mean, you've been a detective 29 years. We didn't get to properly introduce you. You've been a police officer, detective, all kinds of stuff in your field for a long time. But what do you think about this? You know, we haven't had a lot of corroborating evidence. It seems to me like maybe if they had stuff for her, charges for her, evidence, they would have already moved on it. I've heard some people say, well, they don't want to do two cases at the same time. And that kind of preposterous. They can handle doing two cases, can't they?
Yeah.
Take it away.
Well, no, the thing is, speedy trials, is on a timer. So once they either announce an indictment or make an arrest or the Sixth Amendment privileges kick in, then they're on a clock. And yes, they probably already have a case prepared. It'd be my guess. If they're going to charge or indict or try to indict. But I'm sure there's a lot of shoring up they have to do. And that would include the, like incorporation by reference, kind of the stuff from this trial that they're probably going to just, it seems that they've been building on, each prior conviction. And if they're going to charge Wendi and or Harvey, they're probably going to use everything from this trial in there. Here's my take, though, and you all know
Harvey's going to be on a boat to Cuba before tonight's over. Are you kidding me?
Harvey is on a boat to Cuba from Tallahassee.
He's I mean, how many more rats have to go down with the ship before you jump off the Titanic? You know what I mean?
Okay. I recognize this is an unpopular opinion. I kind of don't care. I don't mind being wrong. And because if I'm wrong, that means that justice is going to be even better served. But here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of wishful thinking in the law tube and podcast community. That's what I'm seeing. I will give everyone the benefit of, I didn't watch the full Charlie Adelson trial. I definitely watched chunks of it. I watched this full trial. And there are definitely things I don't know about Wendi Adelson. But what I do know is this, though. They're not going to be able to convict her on anything that she said in the courtroom. They're going to have to rely on whatever Jeff Lacasse said. This Louis Rivera, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he came up with, because before it was just the lady, which all assumed, or which a lot of us assumed was Donna Adelson. But this trial, he says, no, it was the lady. It was Wendi. Like how he knows that, I don't know. But you know what? He has pretty credible testimony. I don't know what, possessed him to say that. And maybe he does know.
Well, he could also be, tainted. I mean, he's been in prison for a long time. Who keeps him from watching court TV? He could have watched any amount of Adelson trial coverage, and he might have learned, like, hey, what was going at the top end of this conspiracy? Well, I've been sitting in prison. He could watch that stuff.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say hi to everyone who's joining us at the conclusion of the Donna Adelson trial. We were getting ready earlier tonight. We were going to go live at 8. But of course, the jury beat us to it. They only stayed at the courthouse long enough to eat their Papa John's, and then render the verdict and go home. I don't think they deliberated that long at all.
No.
So thank you for joining us, but we weren't ready. You could see that my monitor's not even on. Drew normally has me about the same size as him on the screen. I'm smaller. We didn't come up with a show plan necessarily for the verdict. Drew, did you want to take phone calls at all tonight or no?
I do. I want to address comments also, though, because Bernadette here says that she suggests that the host.
We did an entire episode on this, Bernadette MG. We watched the entire interview. I watched 6 hours of that. We put together a full episode on it.
We have a full playlist of the Dan Markel story. We and just not for nothing. I mean, I taught interviews and interrogations for 10 years. I was a cop for 30. I understand your perspective, and I understand that people think she's acting in there. Everybody thought that Isom, detective or investigator Isom, was very credible in this one. And you'll see in my analysis of her interview that I thought he was credible when he was interviewing her. And he specifically said, look, I don't think you're involved. The thing is, what they would have to do is corroborate all of those things. They would have to corroborate, like, you can tell me all day long, like there's another guy, there's a law tuber, I can't remember his name, Carl something. And he's got these 109 indicators that Wendy's guilty. And he was adding to the list the other day because there's some new stuff that came out in this trial. And I'm telling you, like, as honest as I can be. Here, let's get this comment back off the thing, John. I'm telling you as honest as I can be. She may be indicted for all I know. I have no clue. I don't know for sure. I'm just telling you from experience of what I've seen and what all the things that he's talking about, like all of the, she drove up to crime scene tape. I mean, who does that? Then she went to the ABC and she showed the email right on her phone to the clerk. I mean, who does that? So if you have 109 instances of who does that, I don't know if you have an indictment. You might have a lot of who does that, sure, and it probably looks really bad. I'm not like rooting for Wendi Adelson by any stretch of the imagination. She took the last names away from those kids for whatever reason she had, but she erased the Markel family out of this. I completely resent that. I think that's a horrible thing that she did. I don't know that she was involved from the beginning. I think she may have known after the fact. Or she may have known maybe something before, but never thought that it would happen. So I understand where people say, like, she's next and you got to get her in handcuffs and all this other stuff. I get all that. Here's the bottom line on all this. You've had Catherine McBainlaw, you've had Sigfredo Garcia, Luis
Rivera,
Charlie Adelson, and now Donna Adelson, who is likely to be sentenced to life in prison. All of those people are serving life sentences, with the exception of Luis, because he was already serving a life sentence for something else, for RICO. Out of all of those people, why hasn't anyone come forward and said, yes, you need to put your hands on Wendi right now? Out of all of them, do you think Donna Adelson sitting in that chair right there after hearing the guilty verdict and shaking like a dog that just came out of a bath, do you think that she's in it to protect Wendi Adelson right now? Do you think she has that much loyalty? Do you think Charlie has that much loyalty? He's in the prison for the rest of his life. He was in the back of a prisoner transport van in the last 7 days begging for chicken nugs from Wendy's, the restaurant. And he's asking to get one handcuff off so he can drink his large Coke and dip his chicken nuggets from Wendy's, and he's eating it like this is the great, like, think of the Matsuri, like probably the best sushi on South Beach, and he's like begging for chicken nugs. What makes any of you think that he's gonna just like, no, I really need to protect Wendi at this point?
Here's the thing, though. Like, both of you are right. Okay, so I'm right in the middle. I believe that Wendi had a lot to do with it, especially after watching the testimony of Jeff Lacoste. She seems like she was stringing him along and setting him up. I've also said to Drew before that it's possible that Donna didn't know that Wendi knew. Like, this entire conspiracy is very compartmentalized, right? Like, Louis Rivera doesn't know who Wendi Adelson is or what she looks like or what she wants. I think it's entirely possible that there's a lot of double play here going on, right? Like, Donna wants this taken care of, so she talks to Charlie. Charlie says, you'll never believe what mom's cooking up. And, first Wendi throws up, because that's what she does. But then she's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe we could string along this Patsy, even though we discussed the plan in front of him in the hot tub. We could string him along because she wanted to know where he would be on Friday. The whole thing about making these Latin King guys were trying to get a Pine Mica Prius for no reason. You're going to tell me. I happen to know that they like motorcycles and 87 Monte Carlos. They do not like Priuses. Okay. If they're going to rent a car, they would have rented something else, but they wanted to implicate Lacoste. So this is what I'm getting at, though. Long way around. And I apologize, but it's possible and very likely that Wendi knew all about it, and Wendi stood a lot to gain. That's what we had in that episode I just replayed for you, as proof that we have a whole full episode about it. Follow the money. Wendy's the one that stood the most to gain, but it's possible that Donna didn't know about it. It's possible that Charlie's not flipping on her for whatever reason, which I can't really reconcile, because yes, he is begging for chicken nuggets at this point after a lifetime of living well in South Florida. Yeah. And I have it on good authority that the place that he lives now, it's very bad. But anyway, but anyway, it's possible that Donna just doesn't know, and that Wendi is involved. And unless we can get someone to flip on her, because all of these cases against Charlie, against Katie, it all started with a sheriff's office and the ATF, I think, down in Florida, executing a warrant on the Latin Kings. They scoop up Louis Rivera, and all of a sudden they get him to flip. What do you know? How can you get out of this jam with the feds? Well, I happen to know about this murder that Sigfredo Garcia did, and I happen to know about his girlfriend, Catherine McBainlaw, and like dominoes, it's all been falling into place. Yeah. Drew will tell you, as a cop, in a second, if I ever shut up, that it's very hard to get information about a murder without somebody flipping. All the principals in this case all stood to gain, or they all knew about it. There's not extra people floating around who don't know about it, except maybe Harvey. It's the only one I could think of. But of course, she can't testify against the spouse. But until we get someone to flip on Wendi, it's going to be very hard to make a case against her. And so far, nobody's flipping on her, Drew.
It's not just the flip, though, because the flip is still going to be indirect evidence. I don't see any direct evidence, as in do they have, and this is where they may have, because, you know, the chats are correct. Like these people are spot on. Like you know, they withheld bits and pieces to bring out in this trial.
Yes, there was stuff that came up that I never knew about.
Right. So how about this? Where are the phone conversations with, you know, she should show up in a call detail record, but in the train car that they keep talking about, it's literally Charlie to Donna, Donna to Charlie, to Catherine, to Sigfredo, to Luis, to Sigfredo, to Catherine, to, there's no Wendi in there. And they would have phone records. They even mentioned that there was no probable cause. And like, that really doesn't mean anything, to be honest. They said that there was no probable cause for Donna's phone. Well, guess what? When we do wiretaps like that, there often isn't probable cause for other people's phones in there until you listen to the phones of the bad guys. Then
That's exactly what happened with Donna. I don't think anyone was initially looking at Donna, but then we happened to hear her like calling the jail and leaving the phone line open and talking about fleeing to Vietnam and calling Charlie immediately after the bump. They thought that she would just be a weak point, someone that they could put pressure on, and that she would go to Charlie, and all of a sudden Charlie would start talking to all his criminal conspirators. They didn't know that it was necessarily going to involve Donna until Donna said, well, this concerns both of us. You know, there's a guy in a white truck at that point going, oh, you know, because it's like all of a sudden Donna's involved. So that's how that broke open. They weren't necessarily looking at Donna right away.
So
but they found that evidence through the wiretaps on other people.
I'll have to, like, I can't make this any more clear. I don't know if they're going to indict her or not. I'm just saying there isn't a whole lot of direct evidence that I've seen. And even with her immunity, they can't use anything that she said. They can use what other people have testified about her. That's all indirect. But there's no phone calls. There's no train car. There's none of this other stuff. So do I think she's innocent? Well, what an odd concept that she might be, right? I mean, now I understand that she had this like heart to heart with Jeffrey Lacasse, and said before the murder took place that, you know, my brother's confided in, you know, can I talk to you confidentially? And my brother's confided in me and is considering hiring a hitman or whatever. That's he said, she said, though, right? That is a scorned lover on the witness stand saying she said that. And that's how the defense is going to paint it. It may not be true. She might have 100% said that to him. But when you tell me, when you say things like, well, she drove to the crime scene. Okay. Well, she bought bullet bourbon. Okay. Well, she, what are some of the other things? Well, she was acting in the interview. Okay.
There was emails about how to pretend to be more sad than you are. There was like acting lessons.
There was
some, you know, they weren't quite sure when Wendi found out. There was like 3 different stories. She found out in the car. She found out from the realtor's voicemail. She found out from Detective Isom. You know, when did she really know? Cappleman brought up today that she drove past the crime scene and didn't even make any inquiries when her kids were okay.
Yeah. So the question from Bernadette is, do you think he lied? I don't know if he lied or not. He could have. But who is going to ever verify that? The only 2 people that know what happened in that conversation are the guy saying it and the girl saying she never said that. So why is it automatic that we believe him and not her? Is my point. Like, you have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. So here's the other thing that I think that we need to consider, whether she's going to be charged or not. And again, I get it's an unpopular opinion. People want to see her under the jail. Whether she's involved or not, they want to see her under the jail. But how about this? Lincoln and Benjamin are down to 1 parent. And as the state, for the people who speak on behalf of the victim, Dan Markel's family, that's a pretty weighty decision to decide to take the other parent out of their lives. They've already lost a set of grandparents. They're estranged from the other grandparents because of what took place from the Markels. Okay. So all they got left is their mom, basically, right? Their uncle's gone. You heard Mr. Markel just talk about all that. So in the big scheme of things, what if Georgia is saying on the phone with Mr. and Mrs., with Phil and Ruth Markel one day, what if she's on the phone with them saying, look, I really think I got enough to go forward, or yeah, we got a mountain of evidence to go forward and put Wendi in prison for the rest of her life. So what I want to do though is check with you, because you're the most impacted in this, because if we put her away, those kids are going to you. And you heard them say, like, they're the only grandkids. So do they at this stage of their lives want to raise two children like that? That's who's they're gonna end up going to. There wouldn't be, like, you couldn't make the argument that Rob has been in their life so much that he's going to take custody of them.
No, and I'm sure it kind of smarts that another Adelson would still retain custody. So
right. So I think that should be a Markel decision. And like the Markels could be like, hell yeah, throw her in prison. We'll figure it out later. I don't know. But I'm trying to inject a little devil's advocate / rationality into this. How come,
yeah, we're not fans of Wendi. We're not defending Wendi. We're not saying free Wendi.
But how come nobody, like, how has she escaped this far? How is it that Donna, the first phone call after the bump, says, Charlie was like, well, does it involve me? The both of us. She doesn't say it involves you, me, and Wendi. She doesn't say anything like that. They have subsequent conversations later on, years later, where they're like, Wendi just doesn't know how lucky she is. So it's either because they've shielded her from it and never told her about it, or they've shielded her from it. And you know what I'm saying? Either way, they've shielded her from it. There's no phone records that put Wendi together. She's not part of the train car. All you have is a bunch of, like, basically internet true crime people saying, well, she drove to the crime scene. She's got to be guilty. She's the only one that knew her Dan's schedule. Yeah, because the hitman definitely couldn't have followed him for one day and figured out his schedule. I'm telling you, I followed people for a living. Like, I did that for a living.
He still kind of does it now.
They talk about pattern of life investigations. The FBI Sanford talks about pattern of life. Do you realize how habitual you are in your life right now? Do you know that if I assembled a team of 2 to 3 people, whoever you are, I can figure out your schedule within 2 or 3 days.
Did you know that he's about to? Everyone, I want to open up the phone lines first to people who maybe this is the first time watching the Comm Center, or you've been watching us only through the Donna Adelson stuff. If you want to talk to a person who was not only a cop for 29 years, but a Florida cop, this guy's got like 10 stars on his sleeve. He looks like the Lucky Charms guy in his uniform back before he retired. Call into the number on the bottom of your screen, 757-231-6916. That's 757-231-6916. You can tell Drew he's an idiot. You can run great Wendi theories past him. It doesn't even have to be about Wendi. You can ask Drew and see what his rate is for hiring people to establish pattern of life and possibly extreme rendition activities. Maybe Drew does things like that. But I just want to offer for you, if you're new to the Comm Center, if you're not one of our members or longtime watchers, call into Drew, see what you think that you can get out of a conversation with a 29-year Florida cop on this case. We would love to take your call. Domestic calls tonight only. If you've called before, we will talk to you again on a future episode, but we want to hear from new people tonight. So if you've called before, we want to talk to somebody new first. But Drew, what were your takeaways today from closing? We'll start with Cappleman comments.
Okay. She's a master, and I'm telling you, she held attention very well. I thought probably one of the funniest moments was when she was It's not funny, but it's funny. Where she was in the rebuttal. Like, I know I'm skipping ahead, but
I've got that if you want to watch it. But
Yeah.
go ahead.
yeah, because it's only 6 or 7 minutes. But she said she made reference to, like, yes, the lovely grandmother that wanted to dress her grandkids up as Nazi youth. That's what a good grandmother does. And she busted out laughing because I guarantee there's somebody on the jury that looked at her and just busted out laughing. And this is what I think is her forte. She is putting this, first of all, she will call you on your bullshit and bust your chops over it. Like, she's like, oh, so you don't think a suicide is serious enough for a divorce attorney? Like, she will call you on your bullshit, and she is no nonsense. And she's not gaming. She's not like, there are other defense attorneys from previous cases that we've covered that have a very flair for the dramatic. She's not like that at all. She knows her shit, and she shuts it down. And it's like a pleasure to see. Now, this is going to be controversial too, John. Do you know who her mentor was growing up as a young trial attorney in the prosecutor's office? A prosecutor named Jackie Fulford. So I understand where people hate that woman because she's part of the other team. She's basically, we'll say Georgia is on the Bills. Jackie Fulford's on the
Bernadette, do make sure you turn off the podcast in the background so we don't have anything in the background.
Sorry about that.
I've got Bernadette on the line, Drew. Did you want to talk to someone in the chats?
Yeah, let me just make this last point.
Go ahead.
I understand where people think that Jackie Fulford's nuts, and she is kind of off the rails. But her closing argument was not that bad, first of all. It was just full of shit.
Okay, but I didn't call it because I did initially say she was going to put on the charm. She was going to be all sweet, like, oh, shucks. She was hitting that podium like Hitler, and her voice was grating. People in the chats were like, why is she yelling the entire time? And all she did was negate everything. Go ahead.
I get it, but when you don't when you don't have a case, what are you supposed to do? Her job is to vigorously defend her client, and that's exactly what she did. And she, she poked a few holes here and there that they were, very easily able to overcome. And I think she knew that before she got into it. But we'll talk about her more in depth. Bernadette, I'm very interested in meeting you and talking to you, so you see that I'm not mean and angry all the time. I just, I want to hear you
No,
out.
I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. No, I've only listened to a few of your videos, so I didn't hear all your past, podcasts about watching the trials and, what you learned from that. So, just giving my opinion.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I totally understand. And we get that a lot, though, to be honest, Bernadette. Like, people will be like, you really should cover the bump. yeah, we've covered the bump. Like, I understand not everyone has their eyes on us. Like, I totally understand that. We're not like that at all. In fact, before this, we were still toiling. We are still trying to be kind of seen. And we're starting to get a little bit, but I appreciate your opinions, and hope you understand that I'm not disagreeing just to disagree with you, but it does come from a place of
No, and I don't have, the thing is, I'm not one of these people who I just think she has to be convicted. I'm convinced she's guilty. But I've just watched a lot of this for probably the last 10 years, because I remember, I think there was a Dateline that they had on the murder.
Yeah.
And I became interested in the case. And then I remembered when Sigfredo and Luis Rivera were both arrested. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. So it got me interested more and more. But the last 5 years, I've really been paying attention. I've watched every trial. I've watched, all the interviews. And it seems like there's guilt there,
Yeah.
There are people who are absolutely 100% convinced, they have to get her. But I just, I'm waiting to see my whole thing is, if the prosecutors have something that they know is proof of her guilt, they may not be releasing everything they know right now. So I'm kind of like a wait and see,
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Can I do this real quick? Can I guess where you're from?
Sure.
You're calling either from, and I don't, John has your phone number. I don't. I'm saying
I am going to use it to help him find you.
I'm going to say no. Michigan, Illinois, or Western New York?
Pardon me?
Michigan, Illinois, or Western New York? Am I close?
No.
Dang it, Minnesota.
Bad detective. Don't worry, everyone. You are
No,
safe.
no,
If he
I
looks
moved,
for you,
so-
he'll never find you.
No, he won't. I moved. So yeah, none of those. So.
Where is the accent from? That's all I'm asking.
Oh gosh, I didn't know I had an accent.
Where were you like, right? Just like Midwest, just give a general area.
I was raised in the Midwest.
Okay. All right. So I'm right, John.
All right.
That's
Bernadette, thanks so much for calling. We just missed another call, so we hope you keep watching us as we take on other
Absolutely.
cases after this.
Yeah, I think you guys.
And watch all our back episodes because they're all great. We would love the numbers. So thanks so much, and you have a good night.
Thanks, Bernadette.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
All
Bye.
right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
All right. You want to keep on going about Fulford while I call this person back?
Sure. I look. Here's something that people probably don't know about Jackie Fulford, and this was something we were going to reveal at some point, probably if we didn't have a whole lot to talk about tonight. If you, I don't know, maybe everyone knows this, and it's just I'm stupid, and I finally discovered this. She runs a funeral home and crematory, and she runs it with another guy named I think it's Ford, who was the same last name.
Well, no, I paused it on my phone, but I'm hearing it.
I can hear her, John. So Jackie Fulford has a funeral home and crematory in Leon County somewhere, or like Wakulla or somewhere up there in North Florida, for any of your needs. Look, I hope that people aren't developing these like hatred feelings. And I'll tell you why I'm sensitive to this. I turned into the bad guy because of my opinions on the Karen Reed case. Okay, you can disagree all day long. That's fine.
They were bad opinions.
They were bad opinions, and a lot of people's opinions. A lot of them came from experience. Some of them came true. Some of them didn't. But I think that in the true crime world, people tend to take teams. Like they tend to take sides like they're teams, and they don't necessarily want to deal in reality or in facts. And you know what? To a fault, that's me. Like I deal in reality and facts. Like, you know, I had lunch with a good friend the other day. He was luckily saved from a heart thing. And he was most thankful for the cardiologist that he had a conversation with right before the open heart surgery. And it was basically because he just hit him with facts. Just tell me the deal. And, you know, like, yeah, you're very healthy. You're not going to die. We'll get you through it. Just, yeah, you're going to have to, it's going to suck though. And that's how I've always been. I think that might come from the first responder background. It might come from the PTSD, you know, aspects of me fighting through that. But, you know, I don't think I'm at like on the spectrum level of just being direct, but I have a way of seeing things. I mean, there's a Carl Jung theory that says like, just be careful when you see things that other people don't see, because if you say them out loud, you're going to become unpopular. I kind of don't care. Like I do in a sense, because I am sensitive at times. I'm very, ask Genta if I'm sensitive or not. But there are times that I just like I calls it like I sees it. And I sees it from a perspective of having done these investigations. I'm, you know, like the reports that some of you all are reading on this on these true crime cases are reports that I've either written or approved back in my day. You know what I mean? Like maybe not the exact reports, but ones just like it. Like I lived that life for, you know, if Michael Franzese gets credibility for living life in the mafia for 30 years, I think I should get a little credibility for living the cop life for 30 years.
Drew, what do you think? You want to talk to someone from our audience?
I
Get respect for the life that
It-
you've led, but do you think you might be jaded sometimes?
do I jaded? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
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 Absolutely. You're
Okay.
well within your rights to think that.
All right. I just got onto the Adelson case. I've totally, started watching in the last couple of months after Karen Reed. And, listen, my family loves me. I had a horrible breakup. I had a horrible custody situation. In the end, it all worked out because he didn't really want him. He wanted just to torture me. But I just can't see a family murdering an ex and not having an inkling. And I always try to kind of see the positive, but and I don't think those boys, they've lost enough of it. Maybe losing their mom might be too much. I just can't believe that she didn't have a clue because my sisters and me were very close. Trust me when I tell you, they're not murdering anybody for me because they have pretty good lives.
Right. But so let me ask you this though. If they did murder for you, do you think they would let you in on the secret to keep you out of it?
Oh yeah, those bitches can't keep secrets. They would tell me in a heartbeat.
You make some very fair.
They're gonna tell me.
I do understand. Like if your love for one another is so great that you would go to the lengths of murdering, you probably would tell that sibling what you're doing for them.
Yes, I mean,
they would appreciate it.
We're very close.
Yeah, it's a fair point.
We're very, very close. We grew up without a mom, so it was me and my two sisters and my dad. So, he kind of raised us almost like boys. I don't even think we knew we were girls until we were teenagers. I mean, he took us to barbershops until we were 13. We got the bowl cut. So even now in our late 40s, people laugh because we talk every day and, we text every day. But as much as I love them, I don't know that I would, if someone tried to harm them, I would kill them. I don't know that I would kill for them and they're not in on the situation because, we're going to go to jail. So that's my feeling about Wendi. I don't know that she knows, but something about it just makes me think that she's real quick to throw people under the bus. I mean, who gets interviewed and go, well, my parents did hate him and, my brother did and my ex-boyfriend did. But so something about her just kind of irks me that she might get away with it, but I don't want her children to lose the last parents they have.
Yeah, and it's really hard to know because we don't have a lot of data points from people murdering each other's family members. It's fairly uncommon, but thank you so much for calling in. I hope you continue to watch us as we cover Donna Adelson and brand new things. And if you want to watch our coverage on Sarah Boone, that was very good and very lighthearted and a good palate cleanse after Donna Adelson. But thanks so much for calling in.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Last call for anyone who wants to call in and talk to veteran detective and library card holder Drew Breezy. If you want to ring in to the show, 757-231-6916. We'll take a call from anybody. Ours is our last call on the night. If you have any questions about what you think is going to happen to Wendi, if you have questions about what's going to happen to Donna in prison, I might know a little bit more about that. It's not going to be fun for her. It's going to be slightly more fun than it would be in a men's prison, though. I hear that the women's prison is nicer, but
why don't you go down that rabbit hole real quick? Because to this point, she's only been in a county pretrial facility, right?
Yeah, she has no idea how bad it's about to get. She doesn't like Leon County Jail. In fact, during her bond hearing, she complained about how bad the situation was there, which, by the way, when I was reviewing, when they were showing footage of her writing in the journal or whatever, I was kind of amazed by how clean and nice it was. And I definitely had an impression of what Leon County would look like based off of her many complaints. And it looked like a clean, well-maintained, brightly lit facility. Unlike that federal prison on Manhattan, the camera wasn't going out every night at 12:01.
That's a typical Florida jail, John. To be honest, it's and they're under that direct supervision model. So there's I think 24 or 34 inmates per one deputy. You can see in that video, if you watch it, there's a deputy sitting there watching them. And they're all very well behaved. They're all, you know what I mean? Like when you do that that's the kind of the principle behind the direct supervision model. And you'll see every once in a while video come out of like a little tiny uprising where an inmate gets pissed and starts beating the tar out of the deputy, and then other deputies come flooding in. But
that'll happen. She'll be a shot caller soon. She's going to get a little teardrop tattoo, and she's going to start wearing a bandana to hold her hair back. So don't be surprised when all this happens. And yeah, she's crying now, but just remember, Donna Adelson, a big actress. And my favorite point of tonight, Drew, was when the verdict was read and the judge is like, stifle yourself, Edith, control yourself. That was for me the best part, because the judge finally got to let loose.
Do you happen to
3 weeks or more anger on her constantly emoting and being a big baby? So
do you happen to have the verdict being read?
How could I have recorded it? It happened to us live.
Oh, that's
I mean, I could go back and try to find it.
Are we live?
Yes, we're live. I'll go back and see if I can replay it if you want.
No, it's okay. We'll figure it out. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, John has plenty of time. He served a lot of time in the Department of Corrections, but Donna is in for a pretty rude awakening. Like that is a very typical, like that's what a pod in Hillsborough County Jail kind of looks like. I mean, they're not going to be like every single jail in Florida is like that, but they all pretty much follow.
Well, she may end up leaving the state of Florida with her being extremely high profile. Right now they're putting her under watch, self-harm watch. There's every chance that she's going to be interstate compacted to another state where she can fit in and be a little bit more anonymous. That's what happened to Charlie. He's not serving his time in Florida. He's elsewhere. So I would expect I would expect Donna to actually be leaving the state of Florida. But she may spend some time in Florida DOC, but they're always making deals, wheeling and dealing. Some high profile case from Idaho or something, and they'll swap them. So
I wouldn't anticipate her leaving before October, though, before the sentencing.
Yeah, not before the sentencing show, but she'll be in Leon County, I would think, until then, right? So,
and I think though maybe it's just in the federal system. I think that Charlie is housed somewhere in I don't know, South Dakota,
some boring ass middle of the earth state that probably doesn't have access to a beach. So
I don't know if they do this like in the state system. I know they do this in the federal system. They would kind of let those people be close together, like Charlie, the son and the daughter, not in the same prison, so that the outside family wouldn't have to travel far to see both.
I think once you do interstate compact, that goes all out the window. When I was in prison, Drew, we had people there from Wisconsin, from Oregon, Washington, and suffice it to say, these places are far away from me. And we didn't, when we would have visitors come from that far away, actually what we would do is that we would break the normal rules. So like at our prison, someone could have up to 2 visits a week. They could do that all in a day if they wanted, but they could have 2 visits. So, but they would make special arrangements saying, well, because of the interstate compact and you're coming out from Southern California, we're going to let you have a visit every day this week, 5 full visits or 10 visits, 2 every day or whatever. So that's more likely what will happen. I don't think that they're going to necessarily put people in convenient positions, because incarcerating people according to where they could be anonymous, where they could fit in, and where they can succeed, and where there's a need for interstate compact actually makes it quite a bit of a wheeling and dealing affair, and not so much based on what the inmates like or what their families need.
Oh, yeah, I understand that too. I also don't think that she would be the first round draft pick for any facility, because she's going to be high maintenance, 1, and 2, she's going to require a lot of watching. Like she's going to be a target. I mean, look at her. I mean, why wouldn't you target her?
Well, the other thing is, like, let's not kid ourselves. It's very possible she'll wind up in some low custody or low medium custody where she's not exactly chained to a boulder outside with a pickaxe making new fish gravel. There's very cozy and comfy jail and prison facilities that she could wind up in. And she's not necessarily a flight risk. She's not necessarily a danger to others. She's not likely to perpetrate violence on anyone else. She's very likely to, even within whatever prison she goes to wind up on a very cushy wing with like offenders. She'll probably have cellmates who are the same age as her. She'll probably get a cushy job, wearing a hairnet and scooping up succotash, something like that. That's probably what's going to happen to her. But Drew, I got to ask you about, we've talked about Donna's future. We talked about Wendy's future. What's going to happen to us now that Donna Adelson's over? Do we even have a channel anymore?
I think that we're probably going to get a weekend back. Yeah, we'll still have a channel. Why not? So every good true crime story starts with a 911 call. This case was no exception. Look at every case that we've covered. Sarah Boone, 911 call. Hannah Payne, the actual case was the 911 call. This case, Mr. Geiger, 911 call. Every they'll show it on Dateline, but they'll just show little squiggly lines when the 911 operator is talking. We're putting a 911 dispatcher right in front of you, a guy with 10 years experience, and then we got a little investigative experience behind it. So I don't think we're going anywhere. We covered the Sheriff Steins case, and I think that's probably next in the hopper.
It's heating back up again.
It's definitely heating back up again. There are a couple things like I want to do, and I've talked about it before. It's like I can't keep it a secret, but I want to do like a nice little 9/11 tribute for 911 people, because people like, yes, the first responders will always, a lot of first responders lost their lives on 9/11, but a lot of lives were changed forever of the people that were answering the phones because of what the people on the other end were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I actually have one or two of those recordings, so
yeah,
we're going to cover that. But yeah, we're entrenched in this. We're at like 520 or 510 or 520 videos. We're still growing. I still need you to share this with your Aunt Sally so she subscribes to us.
Haven't heard that in a while. Make sure you go back and watch all your favorite episodes of the Comm Center. If you're new to us, thank you for watching our coverage on the Donna Adelson trial. We'll be back here probably for sentencing to have another good laugh if we need one. But we're going to call it a night. We weren't ready to go tonight. We weren't ready to start. Stinking trial just beat us to the punch, but I was happy to be here to react live. It was a lot of fun. And to all of you who joined us tonight, we really appreciate you. We hope that you'll continue to watch coverage here on the Comm Center. Thank you so much. Good night. And Drew, it was a fun one. Did you have a good time?